Hi, the following video that I've got here is going to be on how to use tinsel to dress up your fishing rods a bit. It can be used in many ways, and I did it in sections, so it may be a little jerky from here to there, but I'll get all the information out there, let you experiment with it yourself. It's a fun process, and it can be used with other techniques also. I haven't done any tests using the Harold Durham method with Mylar. Well, I've done a few, but I haven't done enough to make a video of it yet. But it can be used in conjunction with that. It can be used with tigers. It can be used as the space between fishing guides. All kinds of different ways. Just get out there and experiment with it. Use some of the techniques that I've shown here, and of course post any of your findings so that we can all learn from it. Okay, starting on another tinsel job. Going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to, on the seam of the 1-inch tape, which I've already laid on the little seam that you can see, I'm going to put a different type of tinsel along that seam, just to see what's going to happen. Had some comments on my video, and though it's really not that irritating seeing that little line, I just want to see if something can be done to, you know, cover it up a little bit, and just see what I come up with here. I've got another color of tape. It's a blue tape, which I may use on the next one. Again, just experimenting, having fun. You never know what you're going to come up with, and I don't know what it's going to look like in the video when I do the video at the end. So we're just playing around. What I'll do is I'll trim that up. I'll trim it up, make it even with the rest of the wrap, and put 3 coats of finish on it. See what it looks like up close. Gotta fold in the stand here. Ought to be interesting. Actually, ought to be interesting to wrap over too. It's probably going to drive me nuts. Which isn't a very long drive, by the way. Later. This time I took the star tinsel, wrapped it on, and where the seam was on the star tinsel, I went back over it with the little, let's call it bubble tinsel, for lack of a better term. Also, I'm going to do something different this time. I've been working with 3 and 4 threads for my base tiger. I'm going to do it with just 2 threads and sacrifice 1 and stay with dark colors. I'm doing this because I want to see if I can get a darker pattern right off the bat, whereas with the other ones that I've been experimenting with have been lighter colors underneath, and I've had to actually do a triple open tiger. Just more experimenting. I got lots of ideas in my head, so I hope I can find a lot of rods to work on. So we'll see how this one works out. On this one, again, another tinsel tiger combination. I have I laid stars first. Star silver type tinsel like you've seen before, and then where the seam was, I laid a strip, a fine strip, maybe 1/4 of an inch, over the seam all the way down with the bubble type. Really kind of a nice effect. Really softens that seam. You can still see it somewhat, but it softens it a lot. Now on the tiger this time I decided to do something different. Instead of using a lot of threads and looking for a lot of space for the tinsel to show through, I'm just using 2 size A threads. Obviously black is what I kept, and I'm going to keep black on the top. So we'll see what it comes out with just 2 wraps on that. I'm thinking there'll be a lot more movement than there has been on some of the others that I've been working with because they're lighter colors. It was done with just 2 threads, both size A. This is the second layer. Hard to see, may be very difficult for the camera to pick it up, but the patterning is really great. The tinsel coming through the black thread is kind of leaving it almost like an abalone type coloration. I will take another picture when I've got it completely, the sacrificial completely taken out, and then I'll take more pictures when I put finish on it. But I think this is going to have a very striking result. Here I've got the black on black with 1 sacrificial tinsel experiment that I did. It's only got 1 coat of finish on it right now, but I needed to get this filmed and stuff. Today's not a great day sun-wise, but I think we're able to see plenty of fine pattern in this. I like the idea of just working with 1 thread. It doesn't look quite as diffuse as the other wraps that I've done recently, but it displays all the characteristics I like of the tinsel work. Got a couple of JTOBs going on here. I'll take some close-up of that. Here's a close-up of the JTOB. It really came out very interesting. I used pearl, metallic pearl, and the old silver Electra that's no longer available, unfortunately. Anyway, the pearl, like the 2 bands on each outside are the pearl, and the leaves are the pearl. The pearl on the band seems to have turned almost bluish, like very, very pale blue, and I think that's because of the close relationship with the black thread. But it came out really nice, and on a nice sunny day it really sparkles. I changed the angle of filming a little bit to see if I could pick up the pearl look. In real life I can see it real easy. I don't know whether the camera's picking it up or not, but it really looks like almost like a green abalone shell. Food for thought if you want to experiment. Here's what the whole handle assembly looks like. The reel seat is one of those flip-flop color paint jobs that Jay Cook so graciously donated a bunch for my party 2 years ago when I had that big barbecue here. So I finally getting to use it on one. This is a United composite that I've had around for a while. Gonna see if it'll work out good for a bass rod. Working on a St. Croix that was given to be my Mark Play Bomb, and I'm actually going to be putting one of his older handles on it, older wooden handles. Anyway, still working with the prism, the tinsel. This type of tinsel has got like little iridescent bubbles on it. And my first layer of thread is going to be a really bright lime green with a dark green pearlescent, metallic pearlescent, and a gray. I'm going to remove the gray and the dark green and put color preserver this time over the bright lime green and the metallic pearl thread. So still working on the tinsel theories. Got lots of experiments to do in the next few days. This again is tinsel underneath. This case I used the looks like little bubble type tinsel. And then over the top of it I used 4 size A threads and only kept 2. I kept a vibrant lime green. I don't know if the camera will pick that up or not, but a really bright green and a metallic pearl. I'm going to wrap over the top of this with brown size A thread and sacrifice 3, all size A. So I have 2 layers on this so far. There's again very, very faint movement. You can see it as I roll the rod. There's nice patterning from what I can see, but it's just too light for most people to pick up, so I'm going to go ahead and do one more layer of dark brown over the top and see what I get. If I don't like it, I can always go right back to this by tearing it off. So it does kind of, the wrap does kind of blend in with the wood, so it's going to be a nice combination once I get it figured out. Well, these days I seem like I'm doing things on the fly. This is the tinsel wrap that had the neon green. I forgot to, well, actually I made a mistake. It was neon green, 4 threads, and I kept neon green and a pearl colored thread. Then the second wrap I did 4A threads but only kept a brown. This time it was 4 threads and I kept a brown. I was going to take out the 3 other threads, but just, you know, trying to check different options out, I put 2 loops in so that I could pull either all 3 or just 2 of the 4, and I'm glad I did, because just taking out 2 of them, leaving a black and a brown, seems to have really given me an awesome pattern. Sometimes it's a little hard to see with all the lights and turning and stuff like that, but once the finish gets on this, I think it's just really going to be stellar. I'm just about done pulling the 2 size A threads, again leaving a black and a brown, and I think you can see the patterns are really pretty neat. There's a big circle right in the middle there. Really nice patterns. So, and because it's the earth colors, it goes well with the wood. I'll tie that even in even more when I do my tie-off wraps and do a little JTOB in there. But I think this one's really going to be awesome once I get the finish on it, and I'll be taking more pictures in the future. So I don't always go with my plan A, which was to remove 3 threads, and I'm glad I didn't in this case, because the black and the brown have really added a lot to this. I tried this with the black one and didn't get the effect that I wanted, but with this one I think you'll be able to see what I was trying to get to. The pattern's very, very vague before I put the finish on, but as I put the finish on, it'll start to pop. This again is another one of the Tinsel Tigers, only this one has 3 layers, 3 open layers, and you can see how the pattern starts to really come out once you put the finish on it. This one will be really nice, I think, both in the sun and in the shade. Sometimes these Tinsel tigers, best way to view them is in the shade, because the tinsel in the sun reflects so much of the sunlight. I think you can see the patterns showing up much better once you put the finish on. So, didn't work on the black one so much, but it did on this. Time to take a little final look at the St. Croix that I did with the Tinsel under wrap and tiger. This is just a split grip section, but you can see Mark Blaybaum's work here. Beautiful wood handles that he turns. Put a little JTOB in it. And the tiger came out really nice. The tinsel shows through beautiful. Another JTOB on that end. And then there's, of course, Mark's unbelievable woodwork. Really complementing each other, my work and his. The Tinsel Tiger is a 3-layer wrap. Tinsel on the bottom, 1 wrap of green and pearl metallic. Pulled 2 other threads, so it was 4 threads on the bottom. Then I did the first layer with brown and 3 sacrificials, and then the top layer I did with the brown, black, and 2 sacrificials. All these are done in A thread, and it came out pretty sweet. Don't know what I'm going to come up with for the other end, but I think that's all the tinsel work I'm going to do on this rod. Got a weave to put on it, maybe one more tiger wrap, or maybe I'll do something like a tiger and diamond, dragon type diamond together. Don't know. Won't know until I get there. Okay, just a little walkthrough of what I've done so far. This is just working on the tinsel technique developed by Howard and Joe at Healing Waters in Long Beach, where we use the tinsel to augment the beauty on a fishing rod. Anyway, what I've done here is I'm doing a rod for Bill Batson, which I've already woven his picture on it, and I'm going to have stars tinsel underneath a plain white wrap. So far I've just stationed the tinsel. Anyway, as you can see, it's stationed strategically under the under wrap area all the way up the rod. And what I basically did is took this tinsel here and cut it to fit. Doesn't seem like there's too much trouble if it overlaps. It's when you wrap it helically and it overlaps. We'll see as this project goes on. This is supposed to be done in May, I think. I was hoping to get it done earlier. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'll show you what it looks like after I put the white thread on it. Here we are after I put the tinsel on, put the thread on, and put color preserver on selected areas. You'll see the difference in the white thread. It goes from kind of a grayish white, which is raw white thread, that's been color preserved. The weave is actually done with NCP white. Then you'll see the grayish white again, and then the real standout white is actually raw thread over the top of the tinsel. Got a little tiger going, and I did that through all the guides all the way up the rod. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put finish on, and the finish will bleed through the areas that I want it to, showing the tinsel from underneath, and then I'll continue. Got one coat of finish on Bill's rod here. or the CCA thing, tiger wrap, under wrap, and you'll see that this bleed process that I'm working with, I hope that comes out clear, lets the tape kind of bleed through the underneath, and you can see the little stars and things. There's a lot of little problems on this rod going right now, little areas that I got to clean up, but I guess it's kind of good that you see all that, because I think too many people get discouraged when things aren't going really good, really smooth. They cut things off and redo things, where a lot of times we can hide our mistakes or the blemishes underneath. There's a real big blemish right there that had to do with the fact that the spool of thread ended in the middle of the spool. So we're going to get this cleaned up and maybe put a wrap of thread over where the guides are going to go and finish the tiger. Now we've got a second wrap, a first over wrap on the guides. You see the space between the foot of the guides. You have that starry effect underneath the white thread. Got the weave and got the tiger wrap. So this rod is starting to come together pretty good now. I will go ahead and be putting the third over wrap on. Alright, it's all done now. Have all my guides wrapped, got my weave done, got a picture of Bill Batson, some JTOBs. Then we have the guide wraps with the tinsel underneath, which we're nicknaming the HJ Magic. Got a nice little tiger going, very soft looking, and all the guides are done with the technique using the tinsel and wrapping over it with plain white thread. So it does have a lot of possibilities. There's several different types of metallic tinsel out there that can be used, some with glue backing and some without, but there's always more than one way to skin a cat. And then on top of that, you can also use a technique being used now by Harold Durham of the Guild, where you put mylar over the top of something, whether it be thread or I've actually done some experiments with the tinsel too. So lots of possibilities, lots of things out there for you guys to experiment with. Have fun and post your results, and please share everything. Okay, some more samples of experiments I'm doing. Again, most of it's with tinsel, and all of these, well, the first three anyway, are bleed through. In other words, I'd put raw thread on them and then let it bleed through when I put the finish. This one is kind of going the route of what it would look like if I used the tinsel in between the feet of the guides on a rod. This again is more of the tinsel bleed through technique that I've been playing with. In this case I put orange thread over the top of tinsel. It kind of has little squares in it. Again, no CP, made it bleed through, and there's the end result. The reason I'm testing all kinds of applications is you never know where we could use this. This obviously could be used with a spiral wrap in a decorative wrap. Here's a case of too much of a good thing. You can probably see that it's kind of a nice little tiger. It's actually 3 open layers of that 037 good rod. Underneath though, there was tinsel. Then I wrapped dark blue over the top of the tinsel, and then I wrapped the 3 layers of 037. In between the first 037 and the tinsel in blue, I had a picture of a sticker of a mermaid. It's in there, but you can barely make it out. I only know that it's there, so I can see bits and pieces of it. But the tiger turned out pretty cool, so not all was lost. This one's another shot at a spiral with a bleed through underneath. It's obviously white with no CP, and got the bleed through effect real nicely. Looks like it's stars. Well, maybe not. It could be the bubbles. Anyway, you can see there's something underneath the white. It kind of makes it look almost like a pearlescent type thing. So it could be used in a decorative wrap, or in the case of Bill Batson's rod, I used it between the feet of the guides. Here's the end result of just using it between the foot of the guides. I put a layer of green underneath, just where the feet of the guides were going to go, and then I wrapped the turquoise blue over the top. So putting it between the feet of the guides will really make that rod flash. I wanted to see what I get when I get white and orange on the bottom and a dark color on top. I had something happen online a few weeks ago. Somebody saw one of my old tiger wraps, and it looked like it was orange and white with black, and orange and white on the bottom and black with one sacrifice on the top. I'm not sure it was, because I did this one in blue and orange and white, but I was really surprised to see that I got a pattern out of it, because there was no blue in the bottom. Anyway, this whole stick is a bunch of experiments. On this one, I have red and blue plain nylon, and let's see if I can get this cleared up a little bit. Red and blue plain nylon, and I'm going to do the bleed technique with the finish on that. Underneath it, as a matter of fact, underneath all the rest of these is one form of tinsel or another. I think most of them are the stars, like you'll see underneath this. This was red and white, and I pulled the white. This one, you know, the tinsel technique, we're kind of calling that the HJ magic, from the guys that dreamt it up there at Healing Waters. But I took it and mixed it with Harold's Mylar, and just to see what kind of different colors I get, and it does change the color of the tinsel quite a bit. Then the next one's red, white, and blue. I'm going to do the bleed on it. And the next one's red and white, and I'm going to do the bleed thing on that. So we'll see what we get when we get done with this. This one's going to turn into a tiger, and a couple of the others are going to be tigers, so we'll see what happens. This is a wrap I threw in because I had a little discussion online with somebody on one of my old wraps. He asked me what the colors were. I told him was orange and white on the bottom, and in the case of the one online, it was black on top. But there was some discussion of whether there wasn't a black also in the bottom. I think he was right. I think there was a black in the bottom, because I did this one orange and white, but I just used a blue with one open on top, and it looks nothing, even though it's almost the same darkness as a black, it looks nothing like the one I had online. But it did come out okay. The reason I was experimenting with stuff like this is because I thought, like many, that you have to have the color that is on top somehow employed in the bottom, and that's not necessarily the case. This is orange and white on bottom and dark blue on top. Here we have another one of the bleed experiments over Tinsel. The base wrap is red and 245 blue, and I didn't color preserve it. Then put the finish over the top, and then I did a blue on top with one sacrifice, and of course finished off the ends with red, white, and blue fade type wrap. Very dark, but the pattern is quite visible, especially during the sunlight. This is another one done over Tinsel. The base wrap is red, like 326 red, plain, no CP. So when I put the finish over the top of it, it bled. It actually looks like the red is almost floating in the finish. The over wrap was 245 blue with one sacrificial, and you can see the stars of the tinsel below the red, actually bleeding through in the red. Actually, you can see it right through the red in some places. Nice technique. Lots and lots of places we can use this. Forgot to mention on this one that it was red with one sacrificial as my base wrap for the tiger. So it's basically a tiger with two open layers. Again, employing the tinsel with some bleed through technique. The red and white in the center was done with plain thread and no CP. It's a little harder to see in this light, but you can see the bleed through from the stars of the tinsel below. And finished off the ends with some JTOB work. This would be a nice setup for like between the feet of a guide. Again, employing the bleed effect. The under wrap is just tinsel, and then I wrapped over the top of it in different segments of red, white, and blue, all with no CP. So you can see the bleed through. It's harder in these light conditions, but it is there, and it might, but just by itself, look nice as decorative wrap. The ends, I use the fade out technique on the red, white, and blue. This one's similar to an earlier one, only in this case I put red and white together in the under wrap. No CP, put the finish on, let it bleed through. The tinsel underneath is a bubble type tinsel. Then I put 245 blue over the top, sacrificed one, again with no CP. So the technique works really great in a lot of different applications, and I'm sure there's still more, but these are just the ones that I tested. I kind of skipped over the tinsel that I have on the guides. It's right now this stuff is duck prism tape. Comes in several sizes. Right now I'm using what's about 3/4 to 1 inch. This prism one has little stars on it, which I thought would be nice to put in with the military idea. But it does come in other forms. It does come in the little speckles and tiger stripes and many other kinds. But this isn't the only way to do it. There are other forms of tinsel, not necessarily in a tape, that you can use. Like in fly tying, they have one that has little prism bubbles on it that comes in, I think, 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch wide, kind of like strips on a bobbin, and I use a fly tying bobbin to put that onto the rod. It comes in many colors, so the idea is just basically something tinsel that you can put on the rod, either self-adhesive or find a way to stick it on the rod. And then experiment with either just using it plain in between the foot of the guide, or in this case I'm going to wrap over it and let the tape bleed through the red colored thread. Okay, I looked back through all my experiments and I've got a few more things that I wanted to add on. Some of it's I'm not that happy with, but all the information is valuable, even if it's negative. So first there'll be a short little video, and then there'll be a bunch of stills that I've taken of the work. I'm going to try to put them in order from start to finished product. And then if you have any questions, feel free to email me, call me, put a comment on the video. And then we'll finish up this thing, get it produced on YouTube, and see if you can get some of you guys inspired to doing some experimenting on your own stuff. Thank you. Okay, I'm taking some pictures of some other recent work. I'm not real happy with this yellow and green one, so I'm going to actually put a second open overwrap on it, as I will be doing with this black one too. The black one's not bad, but I just want to see what I'm going to come up with. This one's pretty much, I like the way it come out. And then I'm starting into the ones here that still need an overwrap. Last night I did an overwrap on this one. You may not be able to see it, but there's actually a sticker underneath the open layer on this. If I can keep this centered in the camera. Anyway, there is a sticker under there. And it's okay. I usually like more aberrant patterns. And then on this blue one, again, there's a sticker underneath it, so there's two open layers over the top of a sticker. The patterns are okay on this. It's very faint, So, and over here on the red one, it's hard to see, but it's there. It's an okay tiger. This is very difficult to see. There's a sticker underneath. 2 layers of open tiger wrap. And it came out okay. It's kind of a hazy look to it, so it kind of looks like it's underwater. Here's another rendition of the same basic plan. Sticker, 2 open layers over the top of it. Underneath I used that special tinsel on all of these. The yellow one is really difficult to see. It is there, but it's very difficult to see. And I may try to do something with it on a 3rd over wrap. And the same thing with the next 2. Not real happy with them, but like I did on a recent post, I said, you know what? You can always throw another wrap over the top and just see how it comes out. And of course I'll take pictures of it, and we may get some good results, we may not. We'll see. Once again, I'd like to apologize for the skippiness of this video. I had to do it that way because I did it in so many sections due to putting finish on and waiting in between finish coats to dry. It took a long time to put this together. There's a heck of a lot of information here, and some of it I'm sure will spur some of you guys on to trying some different techniques. There's a lot that can be done with these techniques, and still there's a lot more to film. I still want to do some work with tinsel and using the mylar that Harold Durham, I keep saying Dunham, but it's Durham, in Texas, has been playing with. In fact, he's got a really neat test going on right now for guys to figure out a new technique that he's figured out. Anyway, a lot of information here. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, I apologize for skipping around so much, and the repetitiveness. Oh, I went through this and it's just same thing over and over and over. So there shouldn't be any doubt how I did some of this stuff. So I hope it does some good for some of you. Thank you.